Okay, class. This lesson today is a little heavy. I have some personal stories here and a little bit of background knowledge on opioids and addiction. So, what is an addiction? Does it mean that you're weak? Does it mean that you're a bad person? Well, no. Addiction is when you want to quit doing something. It's affecting your life in a negative way, but you still do the thing despite not wanting to. So, why do people get addicted? Is it a choice? Well, no. There are several factors. Addiction can be caused by physical dependence on a drug, and that means that your brain's wirings, the neurons in your brain, are changed by the drug. So what happens is without the drug, your body doesn't function properly, but it also fails to function when you are taking the drug. Okay. And we'll get into what I mean by your body your brain fails to function properly. It's also a body thing. That'll be in the story. Now, a similar situation can happen with behaviors and habits. It means people can become addicted to gambling, overeating, and other risky behavior. This also has to do with your brain's wiring. So all of your behavior is driven by the way your neurons connect. Your brain's wiring, it's the neurons. So when you feel a sense of accomplishment or pleasure, your brain reinforces the behavior that brought you that feeling. So, for example, if you brush your teeth and you feel good about it, your brain will rewire itself. The neurons there will connect in a way that incentivizes you and it helps you brush your teeth again. Addiction is caused by a strong connection of neurons that drive you to repeat the addictive behavior or substance. Again, what happens when you're addicted is there's a strong connection of neurons, your brain's wiring, that drive you to repeat the same behavior or take in the same substance or drug. So it takes a long time for you to rewire your brain to quit doing the addictive behavior. Furthermore, the pathways in your brain that are caused by addiction never go away. That means that the abstinence, not doing the behavior at all, is the way to stop addictive behavior. To elaborate, the pathways that are in your brain that are caused by addiction, they never go away. What rewiring does is you literally create like a detour around that pathway. Think of it as construction. If a road's closed for construction, you have to go around, right? And that's basically what you have to do to beat an addiction. But let's say you were to do the addictive behavior or drug, that pathway will open up and it'll be harder next time to close it. That's what it means when I mean that the pathways in your brain that are caused by addiction never go away. So, the best someone can do to stop their addictive behavior is to create a new behavior that replaces the addiction. This is part of rewiring, building new roads around the roads that are tricky, the roads that will lead you towards doing more of the addictive behavior. I think a road is a pretty good analogy to what the neurons do in your brain. So this can happen in various ways. The most common ways are support groups and therapy. The most common ways to beat an addictive behavior or an addiction. So if you or a loved one is going through an addiction, you can search for support groups near you. Columbus is home to several support groups that can be a powerful aid in recovery. You can also seek out a therapist, and they could help create a plan to help you recover. And here are some scenarios from friends who tried opioids. These are all real-life stories, and I figured it would mean a lot more to you all if you had some stories that were true. So here we go. Friend one. One friend experimented with several drugs and one day decided to take an opioid in prescription pill form. She enjoyed it, but did not do it again for a few months to prevent becoming addicted. She figured, okay, I'm going to do it once and every once in a while, and that way I can't get addicted. But next time she did it, she had bought more pills, and she wanted to do them with her friends at her party. But she instead kept them for herself and ended up doing them all. So this is basically when her addiction got set off. So she continued to buy the pills, and prescription pills were very expensive, so she ran out of money. And so she started buying heroin instead. And she rationalized this because heroin is cheaper, and it's basically the same thing as an opioid pill. Now, while they are very similar, they're not the same. Heroin is illegal, and therefore it's not standardized. When you take a pill, there's a certain amount of opium or opioids in there. Heroin, you don't know how much you're getting. So when she, because it's not standardized, she had to guess how much she could do without overdosing. So one day she ended up overdosing and went to the hospital. Her mother found out that she was doing drugs and kicked her out of the house unless she stopped. So my friend's mother gave her the option to stop doing heroin, and she could continue living there until she got a job, or she had to leave. So my friend decided to go live with her drug dealer, and that was some really dark times for her because she saw several people die, and after seeing, people around her die, she had to decide to quit. And she went to rehab and continues to go to support groups every day for about an hour to stay sober. So she's very active in trying to stay away from the drugs, and has created this new behavior, going to support groups every day just to stay sober, just to not do drugs anymore. So here's another friend of mine. This one, he went in for a surgery. So he was told he had to take the opioids after the surgery, and he's given 2 weeks worth of pills. So he took the pills as directed for the first couple of days, but then started to take more than directed, and he ran out of the pills in a week. So he had 2 weeks worth, but now he had taken 2 weeks worth in 1 week. When he called the doctor for the refill, the doctor told him no, because they're not allowed to fill refills for opiates, for the reason that people get hooked on this stuff. So my friend was pretty desperate to feel normal again. He was going through withdrawals. And I mentioned that we would talk about what happens when your body is on drugs and then stops taking drugs. The symptoms are called withdrawals, which means his body was shaking uncontrollably. He was feeling extremely cold, but also sweating as if he were like super hot. He had diarrhea. He was nauseous, which means you feel like you're going to throw up, but he wasn't throwing up. But you had this feeling of he's about to throw up, and that would just continue. And he on top of all of that, he just wanted to take more drugs. And because he was still feeling sick and he was still in pain from the surgery, he started to drink alcohol to attempt to numb the pain. Because he couldn't get a hold of any prescription pills, he figured, okay, well, alcohol surely will help me not feel this sick. And what ended up happening is he developed an addiction to alcohol and drank heavily even after the pain was gone. So his wife told him that if he didn't quit, she'd leave him. And it was only after that and a lot of drama that he decided to go to therapy and stop drinking altogether. So he used to be able to drink, and sort of his opioid addiction led him to actually channel that into an alcohol addiction, which he never had before. So that's something else that can happen, something that people don't tell you about. So this is another friend of mine who overdosed on heroin, and no one expected this to happen. All of our friends knew he didn't do drugs, but for some reason he decided to try doing heroin. We all think it was his first time he did it because, again, like, we're pretty sure he didn't do it. And we were all very upset. The funeral was really sad because he was only like 20 years old. So no one saw it coming. He's an amazing artist, and he's a super funny guy. And I still miss him. And I wonder why he tried heroin. We all do. So I hopefully these stories will help you deal with opiate addiction, um, and let you know the gravity of the situation, and the consequences that can happen when you take these pills or do heroin. And again, there's a lot of help out there for people who are going through it. So the I'll have a short reflection for you guys to do linked in the description below, and hopefully you guys can fill that out. It shouldn't be too long, and it'll make it a little clearer on the information I want you guys to remember. All right, so thank you.